So about a couple months ago, I picked up this Insignia Fire TV from Best Buy for $209. It was actually on sale. And you might be wondering, because this actually looks a lot different than a year ago when I did a whole tour of my living room where I had my old Sanyo, which I still do have, by the way. And that one's actually in my room. And although 55 inches doesn't look huge in this living room, honestly, I can put something bigger in here. But 55 in my room looks humongous. You guys also might be wondering, well, how come I didn't go bigger? And the answer to that is because I just wanted something on a budget. So I also wanted something that I can carry up and down the stairs by myself and, hook it up because I am that way. And it's personally how I prefer to do things. So this TV is, it's an Insignia brand. So it's not the highest quality brand out there. In fact, Insignia has always been known to be like a budget brand when it comes to TVs. You have like mid-tier brands like TCL and Hisense. I dig this TV recently, especially because I do still have like the wrapping on here and the Energy Guide sticker over there. So this is a 55-inch flat screen, so it doesn't look humongous in the living room. Although this is technically a large TV by all means, so it gets the job done. And you can honestly find a 55-inch for pretty cheap. I want to say in the $200 range, and this is actually the cheapest one you can get, brand new. Also, you might notice that this is a Fire TV. I don't have any Fire Stick hooked up in the back to it or anything like that. It actually has a Fire TV built into it, and you can actually get TVs that have Roku built in or like Google TV. So that's pretty cool, and it's also more convenient for streaming, because a lot of people are doing that nowadays. So it necessitates the need for having to go out and like buy a separate stick and plug it in the TV. But if in case you made a mistake for some reason and decided, oh, I don't like Fire TV, I don't like Google TV, I don't like Roku or whatever, you can always, stick something in the back and, turn it into your own thing. But in the back, it does have a auxiliary headphone jack, so if you want to hook up headphones, that's up to you. You can do that as well. Also, it has a USB port in the back. If you have VLC like I do here, you can view photos, you can watch movies, you can pretty much do a lot of stuff with it. So technically this is a multimedia player built in too, so you have that option. But there is one catch with the USB feature. And I don't think it's the TV itself, but rather it's the OS, because my Fire Stick is the exact same way. But the Fire OS only supports FAT32 format. So that's kind of limiting because you can only store up to 4 gigabytes of storage before it doesn't really recognize anything. So that's kind of a bummer because I tried to upload stuff that has more than 4 gigs and it just wouldn't let me do it. So that's what NTFS is for, and this doesn't support that. So that's pretty genius. Also, you have 3 HDMI ports back here, which is a pretty good number of HDMI ports. I do have my HDMI ARC port filled for my soundbar here, which is really good that it has that. A lot of TVs nowadays have ARC. Then you have 2 extra HDMI ports, presumably one for your Switch, one for your PS5. And then on the back, you do have composite jacks. So if you have like an old DVD player, or you have a Blu-ray player or something like that, or whatever, you can still hook it up to the composite output. In addition to that, you also have the old cable port in the back. So for all y'all old folks out there that still loves to watch cable, you got that back there too. The stand is another thing too, because this one I got from Amazon for, I think, $45. And believe it or not, this is actually my second stand, because the first stand I got that as a gift. And I had my old Sanyo on top of this. And by the way, my Sanyo is extremely heavy. And this only holds up to a certain weight limit, I think up to 50 pounds. This TV is only 30 pounds. So I did learn from my mistakes and I double checked. So the stand's going to be just fine. But the Sanyo is well over 50 pounds. So what happened was, over time, and I want to say this was probably about a year or two, these stands down here kind of broke off, and eventually the whole thing collapsed. As a matter of fact, it collapsed twice. So my TV was on the floor for a little while. I had to live with that, but no big deal. And then I ended up getting this and another stand, because I could get something a lot sturdier if I wanted to go bigger, but again, I wasn't on a budget. And then down here is the Insignia soundbar, which is probably the cheapest soundbar you can find at Best Buy, which I got this for 40 bucks. So, and it's really not too bad either. It's got a decent length to it, and it's got a good number of ports in the back. Definitely the ARC port in the back is the best one to go with if you're running a soundbar for the first time. But if not, optical is another really good solution. Other not so great solutions are the headphone jack, and it also has a USB back there too. So, you know, you can get by with those, but again, ARC is your best option, especially because this actually syncs up to the TV. So anytime the TV turns on, this is also going to be on. And, you know, as far as adjusting the volume, whenever you adjust the volume, these are going to be in sync with each other. The only thing I noticed between these two is that it kind of lags, and it lags pretty bad. And sometimes I can't even turn up and down the volume, so I got to reset the TV, which I've had to do so like once or twice. And then down here, probably or may not be able to see it, but I got my switch down there, so it's just tucked away in the corner. And then going back to the composite signal on this, the composite signal actually isn't that bad. And I have my OG Xbox hooked up to it. I was actually playing my favorite game of Juiced for the Xbox. Plays great. My controller is actually in there, but I'll show you what these cabinets look like. So you can actually open these cabinets, and I don't have anything in here now, but I do have my controller in the other cabinet, so it pretty much works the same way. And yes, you guys do have to assemble this if you do get this from Amazon, but it's pretty easy. I mean, you just got to make sure you take your time when assembling it. And, you know, other than that, you'll be fine. And then the TV doesn't really require much assembling in itself. Just got to put the stands on, and then, you know, you'll be straight. You know, the thing with these smart TV remotes is, like, they usually have, like, buttons, you know, presets of whatever that you might watch. But, you know, me personally, I don't find myself using these buttons, although it might be convenient for you or, you know, some people out there. You know, and it's funny because I do watch Netflix quite a bit, and I can just hit Netflix and it'll take me there, but I don't know, I just get this habit of just manually going into it because the Fire Stick that I had with my Sanyo, I didn't have any of these buttons, so I'd have to go to it manually. So I think this is kind of an added feature, you know, it's a benefit that you get. But also when you hit settings, the one thing I actually didn't realize until just recently is it actually has like built-in live TV, so it kind of defeats the whole purpose of, you know, having to go out and get cable because you pretty much have it on here already, you know. So, and this even looks better than, you know, regular cable because, you know, you're stuck using that shitty ass RF signal, you know, where you have, at least you have HDMI, which is good, but even though this thing at best supports up to 4K. So, but, you know, cool thing also that, you know, carries over from all the other Fire Stick models is display mirroring, which I don't really find myself using, and I haven't even tried it on my iPhone, to be honest, but that'll probably be for some other time. But other than that, you know, as far as the operating system in itself, the TV, it's basically just a regular Fire Stick, you know, nothing too fancy, nothing too special. But the one thing that kind of concerns me is over time, as the OS itself, you know, receives updates, you know, it can kind of slow down after a while, and it can kind of start to feel outdated. I mean, you have stuff that's been out for like 5-10 years already, and, you know, those are already starting to become obsolete, you know. So, I mean, in which case, it's not really that big of a deal if you have something like this, because you can always go out and, you know, get another streaming stick and, you know, hook that up. People buy these TVs, especially myself, you know, for convenience, and, you know, they're here for a reason. And, you know, again, it gets the job done, you know, and I don't really have any major complaints. I mean, obviously, with it being as cheap as it is, there are going to be some drawbacks to it, of course. You know, I don't think, you know, that necessarily outweighs the pros in which you get for something like this. I mean, coming from my Sanyo, this is a major upgrade. You know, it looks a lot better, despite this being only $220 at Best Buy. I mean, I have my own soundbar going on down there. Already sounds much better. Coming from a TV from 2011, I think this is definitely worth it. But if you have something like a few years older and it's a little bit bigger and it's 4K, you know, I wouldn't necessarily, you know, go with something like this. Or if you do go with something like this, I would probably put it, you know, in a smaller room, like a bedroom or, you know, something like that. I mean, if you were even in the shitter, you know, you can put it in the shitter, you know, but of course you'd have to mount it, and, you know, who knows if you even have the room, you know. But anyway, guys, that about wraps it up for this video. And make sure to check out more of my shit, because I'm definitely trying to roll out some more videos. I know it's been kind of tough for me lately, but I promise we're going to roll out with some more juicy content. So, as always, I will see y'all in the next one.